My name is Locke Lee, I am a member of the 3rd class, and I have been practicing with Naruto for 6 years. Uchiha Sasuke, come and fight with me. After the registration was over, Xiao Li, who was left alone, found the 7th class on time. Little Sakura was in a daze, but Naruto had already silently ran aside. This fight will be a little more interesting. Xiao Li practiced 6 years earlier than in the anime. Don't underestimate these 6 years. Xiao Li has only practiced for 5 to 6 years after graduation until the finale. And this guy's talent, even Guy admits it is stronger than his own. Naruto had doubted it for a while before. In the finale, is it possible that Yi Li will appear? In the anime, Sasuke was beaten by the Wolf. And now, Naruto was a little excited. It feels like the current Urzuzi is beaten every 3 days on average? Cut. Sasuke's eyes were as cold as ever. With one hand on his hips, he made a pause on the spot. Then hurry up, I'm in a hurry. Okay, Xiao Li nodded. Then, whoosh, Xiao Li's figure disappeared in an instant, and he reappeared in front of Sasuke. The distance between them was less than 1 centimeter. Naruto's eyes widened. This guy is so fast, really fast. His eyesight is considered good. Although it is not as good as the dynamic vision with Sharingan turned on, he can still see Xiao Li's movements clearly. But it was only 280, and Naruto felt extremely shocked. He made a decision back then. It seems that a monster is really going to come out. Xiao Li flashed in front of Sasuke, but he didn't make a move. But when the latter obviously hadn't reacted yet, he returned to his original position. Sasuke was taken aback for a moment, and immediately after realizing it, he was furious. What do you mean? Sasuke said angrily. Just a kind reminder. Xiao Li shook his head. You are Naruto-kun's teammate, and I respect you very much. But it might be a little unfair to you if I go first. So, Xiao Li put on his posture. You come first. Naruto silently pressed the thumbs up for Xiao Li. The pretense is really unpretentious. Confident and sincere. Look at Sasuke again. Naruto raised an eyebrow. BBFC, Sasuke looks pretty solid today, isn't he? He didn't rush forward like before. He didn't say anything about pretending to be cold. He just quietly stared at Xiao Li not far away. His gaze was still cold, but he didn't act impulsively. Have to say, Sasuke really grew up. Only then did Naruto recall Sasuke's second attribute. Get stronger when you get hit. Every time he was severely beaten, his fighting strength increased. I see. You and that guy turned out to be on the same path. The corners of Sasuke's mouth hooked slightly. Looking up again, 2 hooked jades have already appeared in the eyes. And it was almost the moment when the double hook jade came out. Sasuke immediately launched a charge. Looks like you're ready. Xiao Li didn't wait any longer, and rushed forward. His speed is obviously a lot faster than Sasuke. Even while Sasuke was running, Xiao Li flashed to his side again. But this time, it was behind him. You're too slow, Sasuke. Boom. A whip kick went straight to Sasuke's lower back. The speed is too fast. Sasuke has no room to dodge at all. But Naruto saw something. Hiss. This guy, does he really become stronger after being beaten? I saw the next second. Sasuke's body suddenly turned into a puff of white smoke. Xiao Li hit a wooden stake, which is body replacement technique. And the real Sasuke has already appeared in midair, and his hands are even more sealed. Fire-style Great Fireball. Ode. The huge fireball went straight to Xiao Li. Sasuke's eyes were full of confidence, and he glanced at Naruto. After thinking hard for a week, he finally figured out one thing. Naruto is very fast. In terms of physical skills, he is probably ahead of him by a lot. Even if he activated the Sharingan and saw Naruto's movements clearly, his body might not be able to respond. Sasuke tried to make himself faster too. Faster response, faster speed. But after the failed attack on the masked man, he discovered one thing. Faster than gymnastics? Not necessarily, it has to be gymnastics. And ninjutsu, and tactics. The mind is always faster than the body. You can come to me in an instant, but can you beat my body replacement technique? As long as I buy enough time, my ninjutsu can kill you. Looking at Xiao Li, who was about to be swallowed by the flames. Sasuke's mood is unstoppable joy. The next one is you, Naruto. But at this time, I see, it's body replacement technique. Surprise flashed in Xiao Li's eyes, but not much. Silently, he took out a nunchaku from behind. Naruto was a little confused. Xiao Li has cultivated to this point? Ola 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 ola. Xiao Li swung the nunchaku crazily. Sasuke's fireball was impressive, but it couldn't get into Xiao Li's body. The contest between taijutsu and ninjutsu begins here. Sasuke poured chakra madly, because he knew that if the monster was freed, he would be the only one who lost. Yes. Being able to resist ninjutsu by simply waving ninjutsu is not what a monster is. So what the hell is the teacher in the third class? How did you teach these two monsters? This monster seems to be forcibly carrying his great fireball forward. There are two types of powerful people, Sasuke. Genius type, and hardworking type. Xiao Li lowered his body, frantically fiddled with the nunchaku, and created a strong air current in front of him. He walked forward slowly step by step, breathing steadily, not even sweating. He can last a day. There is no doubt that you are the genius type. With those eyes, you are one of the few people who can see my movements clearly. Xiao Li continued to move forward. He was almost in front of Sasuke. As for me, I am the hardworking type. In the past 6 years, I have never stopped breaking through my own limits. You lost. The voice just fell. I saw Xiao Li flickering suddenly, and came directly behind Sasuke. But nothing was done. Instead, he gave Naruto not far away a thumbs up. Then, left directly. Sasuke still maintains the movement of seal. His gaze, getting very confused again. Not only him, Naruto is also a little lost. He seemed to see a possibility. Finale night. The two fierce beasts of Konoha opened the 8th gate at the same time. Then 1 foot at a time. Uchiha Madara, pawn? This exam is a group of 3. Everyone needs to be here on their own terms, any one of them. So, what's going on that I don't know about? Kakashi looked at Naruto speechlessly. It seems to be asking, did you hit him again? Naruto is none of his business. Forget it. I am really happy for you to come here on your own will. Go. The latter part is somewhat perfunctory. Unfortunately, I originally planned to mobilize a wave of emotions, here. Forget it. Kakashi watched the 7th class walk into the examination room of the Chunin assessment. As soon as they stepped into the examination room, the 3 of them received the attention of hundreds of people almost at the same time. The sense of oppression is a bit strong. Little Sakura unconsciously hid behind Naruto. Naruto looks around with his dead fish eyes, trying to find the presence of Orochimaru. Pity. Did not find. With so many people, chakra and breath are very chaotic. Even with Kagura's mind, I'm afraid I can't find it. So Naruto simply gave up temporarily. However, he still locked the position of the pocket. And I don't know why. Do not only did not come to touch them, but stood far away. But when Naruto glanced over, he still found that this guy had been observing here. The 7th class waited for a while. Meanwhile, Ino Shikacho's first shift came over to say hello. Sasuke-san. But before Shikamaru and Choji arrived, a blonde figure rushed over. Sasuke's brainless fan also has an Ino. But just as Ino approached, he was frightened by Sasuke's eyes. Roll. Ino's footsteps stopped, and he was stunned. I froze in place, feeling like I was about to cry. It's too much, Sasuke. Shikamaru and Choji immediately stepped up and confronted Sasuke. They're all in the same class, what are you doing so fiercely? Little Sakura went up to comfort Ino. I want you to take care of it, stay away from me. Sasuke explained very well what is called insulation constitution. A person walked far away. Shikamaru also noticed something wrong with Sasuke's mood, and cast a questioning look like Naruto. When the two were in the same class, they were often called up by teacher Iruka and punished to stand for sleeping. In addition, they all belong to the type of scholar. So it can be regarded as a little bit of friendship. I had a fight with Xiao Li. Naruto shrugged and said softly. Shikamaru understood immediately. No wonder. But this character is too bad. Is he always like this? Once intermittently. Tisk tisk tisk. The two exchanged a few words briefly. At this time, as the genin class who graduated at the same time, the 8th class also came to say hello. Hey, everyone is here. I won't show mercy. Inuzuka Tooth walked over with his Akamaru on his back. Beside him are Aburame Shino with sunglasses in his pockets, and Hinata walking with his head bowed. The moment he saw Hinata, Naruto's mood improved a lot. Being next to a rich woman is a fine tradition that every salted fish should engrave in its genes. Hinata is still so cute. Seeing Naruto look over, his whole little face immediately flushed red. They didn't dare to look at each other at all. But Naruto just took a look. Not a qualified salted fish. It's not that he has overcome his instinct to be close to a rich woman. It's just, a qualified salted fish will not think about liquidating with Konoha. Slotting is a craft. Naruto also put on a full 6 years. If possible, Naruto is willing to rot forever. But the situation does not allow it. Everyone says he is a monster, so what face does he have as a human? No face. Improper person. Give up. Get the approval of the villagers, forcibly whitewash? Non-existent. 9 tails can't come out if they don't want to. It's a pity for this little rich woman. Naruto sighed secretly. If this operation fails, then he will have to wait for infinite Tsukuyomi if he wants to befriend the rich woman again. It's just that we have to wait for several years. It's a pity. Just when Naruto was thinking wildly. Ask for flowers. He suddenly noticed a look. Turning his head, through the crowd, he precisely locked on the owner of that gaze. It's a woman. Good-looking, fair-skinned, with a hidden forehead protector. Although the other party is not Shitong, but Naruto recognized it immediately. At this moment, Naruto almost did not shed tears of excitement. 6 years. I have been waiting for you for 6 years. Do you know how I spent the past 6 years? Orochimaru, my lord, I will get rid of this brat. At this time, a figure stood between the two of them. He is a guy with a cold and arrogant expression and the word, death, written on his clothes. Zack Stirrup. Naruto doesn't remember the guy's name, but he knows that this guy was finally used as a living sacrifice for the impure world reincarnation. 1 chess piece. No, Zack, it's not yet time. Orochimaru said with a smile, really interesting. Is that 9 tails Jinchuriki? Keen perception, a little unexpected. Listening to Do said, this child's strength seems to be very strong. As expected of a child of the 4th generation. It just so happens that Sasuke is still on the same team. Looks like things are going to get interesting before the planning starts. At this time, accompanied by bursts of white smoke, Konoha examiners full of oppression appeared one after another. The scene was suddenly silent. Candidates who are not strong enough can't help swallowing their saliva, and even those who are quite confident in themselves dare not look directly into the eyes of the examiners. But there are always exceptions. A few Yin ninjas, not only were not afraid, they even dared to whisper to each other. I'm getting tired of waiting. At this time, the chief examiner with a scar on his face and a black turban appeared on the stage. I am the chief examiner of the first assessment, Ibiki Morino. Talk about the assessment rules. During the assessment period, no one is allowed to fight privately without the examiner's permission. Even if they are allowed, they cannot fight to death. Anyone who violates the assessment rules will be directly disqualified to 0. It is the same as the assessment rules in Naruto's memory. After Ibiki finished the assessment rules, all candidates received their number plates and went to different classrooms for assessment. The first is a written test, point system. The game starts with 10 points, 1 point will be deducted for each wrong answer, and 1 point will be deducted for every cheating. Naruto took a look. Sure enough, the difficulty is not high. Certainly the average genin can answer it. Even a tech master, like him, has to think carefully. The 10th question has not yet been announced. It took Naruto 15 minutes to answer the questions, and then he lay down on the table and waited for the 10th question. This test is difficult, but the real assessment content, apart from the 10th question, is to test the examinee's insight and ability to analyze intelligence. In the examination room, teachers who knew the answers mixed in with the students. It is designed to provide answers. 570. The exam time is 1 hour. Most of the current candidates have not yet started to answer the questions. Instead, they are looking for candidates who are writing hard and they are ready to copy. Naruto answered faster. Soon someone looked over. Naruto silently folded the test paper in half. Fold. Fold in half again. Fold the test paper directly into 1/8 size. The result of doing so, it is to make Naruto receive a lot of hostile eyes in an instant. Naruto looked back one by one. Yes, I won't let you copy it, what's the matter? Although the focus of the assessment is the 10th question that has not yet been announced. As long as you choose the right one, it doesn't matter whether you answered or not. But Naruto knows, others don't, not bad for having a little fun. After folding the test paper, Naruto looked around. Next to it is Hinata. The little girl is also a top student, and she is writing hard. The examination room is quite large, and 100 candidates are all here. Next to Naruto is Hinata. The little girl is also a top student, one of the few candidates who is writing hard. Naruto's eyes quickly locked onto a figure. She has a graceful figure and a beautiful face. The mouth is curved, and one hand rests on the chin. With the other hand, he quickly wrote on the test paper. It was Orochimaru. Today's Chunin assessment is a bit more complicated than they were back then. But also simpler. Orochimaru wrote the answer with great interest. Not difficult. The current Konoha is pursuing only these things. Orochimaru answered the question calmly. At that time, the ninja school was first established, at a time when the ninja world was in turmoil. To be promoted to Chunin is not based on the general topic here. Draw the range parabola of the shuriken and explain why? They didn't do that back then. How many ninjutsu to master is one of them? How many tasks to complete is the second, the third and most important point. It depends on how many enemies this person has killed and how many heads have been beheaded. Oh? Orochimaru, who was writing quickly, sensed Naruto's gaze. He turned to look, but he saw a pair of dead fish eyes staring straight at him. This child? Very interesting. This is the second time he has stared at him. Is it by chance? No, scientists don't believe in chance. Behind every accident, there is an explanation that belongs to it. Orochimaru prefers to believe that this is the intuition belonging to the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Kr. Did you find me, kid? Orochimaru nodded slightly, the smile still on his face. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Orochimaru, is this revisiting the era of examinees? Answering the questions was quite vigorous. The little Hinata next to Naruto secretly glanced this way. As expected of Naruto-kun, completed the question so quickly. But, what is he looking at? Following Naruto's gaze, little Hinata looked over. Ah, it's a girl. Naruto-kun's favorite type, is that so? Little Hinata is a little lost. Asterisk 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 time passed by every minute and every second. Gradually, candidates who couldn't sit still started their own operations. Those who directly copy the answers through the human body with supercilious eyes. Use Sharingan to copy other people's actions. There are also peeking with the help of a ninja dog. How can a group of demons dance wildly? Oh! Naruto suddenly sensed something. He turned his head sharply. Instead, he saw Gaara, condensing something with sand. Naruto raised his eyebrows and glanced at the chief examiner Ibixi. But I found that the examiner happened to look over. The eyes of the two intertwined. Yibixi's eyes were serious but a little playful. Naruto's mouth is slightly hooked. Snapped. The pencil in Naruto's hand was pinched off by him. Under the gaze of the chief examiner Yibixi, whoosh! Gaara's sand eye just took off and was shot straight down by the pencil. Well, Gaara let out a groan. This sand eye is connected to his optic nerve. After being hit by Naruto, it turned into flying sand and fell down. He looked sharply in the direction he was hit. But I saw the blonde kid I met at noon yesterday. Looking at him expressionlessly, although expressionless. But those dead fish eyes, no matter how you look at them, they deserve a beating. Examiner. Naruto raised his hand, and all the candidates in the examination room looked over. People who don't abide by the assessment rules are rubbish, these are your exact words. Then if I crack down on cheating, can I get extra points? As soon as this remark came out, all the candidates in the examination room looked over. Even Orochimaru is no exception. This soul is light. It's okay to hide the answer after writing, but now you want to kill them all. Yibixi also froze for a moment, but his reaction speed is very fast. The assessment is about insight and the ability to gather intelligence. And the 10th most critical question later. This kid obviously discovered it, and many candidates have discovered 0.8. But, appropriately increasing some difficulty, it seems that there is nothing wrong with it. The Chunin assessment itself is a competitive assessment. As I said, I won't answer any of your questions until the exam is over. All consequences are borne by you. Did not say yes. Didn't say no. Naruto ticked the corner of his mouth. That's all right. Snapped. The pencil was squeezed several times by Naruto again. Whoosh whoosh. This time, the eyes of Ju's puppet were directly exploded. You are weak. Konkuro was so angry that he was about to explode on the spot. It can be next second. Whoosh. Another piece of pencil, this time directly rubbing against his head, ended up poking into the wall. Ah, the shot missed. Naruto was expressionless. Hinata, have you finished writing? Can you lend me a pencil? In the first competition of Chunin's assessment, Naruto played a new trick. Naruto shot indiscriminately with a pencil, and many candidates suffered. The chief examiner saw it, but obviously acquiesced in this behavior. Until there are only about 20 minutes left in the assessment. Whoosh. A handful of kunai passed by Naruto and shot onto the examinee's desk behind Naruto. The examinee turned pale with fright, but soon became angry from embarrassment. What are you doing? It's fine if you don't stop this guy from messing around, and you examiners are also involved. On the podium, Gang ZT smiled mockingly. 5 turnovers and you're out. And your 2 companions, let's go out together. What else does the candidate want to explain? But his 2 companions stood up directly. He didn't say anything, but walked out with disappointment on his face. Seeing this, the examinee also lowered his head and walked out in shame. Number 23 eliminated. Other examiners also began to liquidate. Number 43 eliminated. Number 27 eliminated. Number 82 eliminated. Candidates were read one after another, got up and left in a daze. Naruto glanced at it, feeling more than in the anime. He just shot indiscriminately, but mostly at the Sand Shinobi candidates. I just want to attract hatred, and there will be reasons to go berserk 11 at that time. During the period, many candidates stopped fishing in troubled waters. Naturally, he couldn't escape the eyes of the examiners. Some candidates who were named wanted to refute a few words, but they were directly pressed against the wall by the examiner. Then take it away. Time continued to pass. Under the warning of Ibixi's gaze, Naruto persisted. Konoha is not fighting and killing, it is the way of the world. If Sasuke understood this truth, he wouldn't have to suffer so many beatings. Finally, when the exam lasted 45 minutes and there were only 15 minutes left, Hibiki Morino announced the last question. Okay, let's get to the point. Now start announcing the content of the last exam question. Yibixi looked around the audience, his cold gaze made the atmosphere gradually tense. Before I announce the content of the exam questions, you need to know a rule that makes people desperate. Coming. Naruto yawned secretly. The written test can be considered to be over. He can finally, at this time. A prompt appeared in the system after a long absence. Ding dong. Your Sharingan has been upgraded to LV4. Purification to LV5 requires 13W salted fish value, rotten value. Naruto was taken aback. Coming, Mangekyo Sharingan. Naruto was a little excited at the moment, his dead fish eyes were no longer calm. Now, there are only 4 pairs of advanced immortal eyes in Ninja World. The Rinnegan that Madara forcibly placed on Nagato. Itachi's Amaterasu Tsukuyomi's Mangekyo, also Obito and Kakashi's Hollow Kamui. Among these 4 people, except Chakra, cannot support the Kakashi that is turned on. The remaining 3 people are all existences who dominate the party. Needless to say, Nagato, the leader of the Akatsuki organization, is now the secret leader of the Kingdom of Rain. Obito has worked in MLM for so many years, and he will be the number 3 boss in the future. As for Itachi, this guy has 3 Mangekyo. Shisui's year's distinguished heavenly gods split in 2. One was snatched by Danzo, and the second one was taken by Itachi. This is also the reason why Naruto has been playing badly for so long and has never torn his face. Rebellion? Fleeing? Blackening on the spot? Useless. Konoha has Danzo. His distinguished heavenly gods won't be used until the last minute. In the anime, it wasn't used until the 5 shadow talks. In the end, I was even more reluctant to use it directly on Sasuke, but thought about taking down Brother Tuzi by the way in 1 Volt 2. As a result, together with the distinguished heavenly gods, a bridge was sealed. At this point Naruto admits, Danzo is more than him. But Danzo isn't going to do shit. Once he betrays, Danzo will take down his 9 tails Jinchuriki immediately. Even if it costs an arm of the Sharingan, he will not hesitate. To put it bluntly, a controllable 9 tails has no less effect on Konoha than Hokage. Get 9 tails, he thinks competing Hokage will be easier too. And Naruto is very clear about a truth, once he betrayed. Those who hunted him down must have the Shao organization and Itachi. 2 other gods, Shendu, will be used on him. 1 shot made him love Konoha. Let him be Danzo's dog for a shot, convert it down. Betrayal equals be Danzo's dog, then he might as well just get up. And this dog lasted 6 years. Naruto closed his eyes. Came directly to the 8 trigram space. Here, he can use the 3-hook jade wantonly. Except for the 9 tails who were hoisted, no one could notice the slightest. 9 tails are being crafted by Naruto's shadow clone. The whole body was bound into a big ball by chakra chains. Only 1 head was left exposed. Seeing the arrival of Naruto's main body, 9 tails' eyes suddenly lost temperature. It is a proud-tailed beast. This childlike game, these humiliations, can't break it. The first 2 9 tails Jinchuriki. With the powerful sealing technique and the huge chakra, it has tasted decades of loneliness and darkness. But so what? It still endured. Now, just a kid, this little torture, it will one day. 9 tails' eyes suddenly widened. This brat's breath. Something is wrong. Naruto opened his eyes abruptly, his eyes were filled with scarlet, and 3 Guyu appeared on it. This is impossible. 9 tails roared angrily. It has been observing the awakening of the blood in the kid's body. It couldn't have come to this level all of a sudden. It can be next second. When the 3 hooks in Naruto's eyes began to spin. Gradually, it condensed into a Mangekyo pattern in the shape of 3 stepped fans. So far so good. Naruto felt the pupil power in his eyes, felt the pupil technique in these eyes. Can't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Left eye, purification. The pupil power he dreamed of, not for offense, but for defense. The effect is only 1/910. Consume the power of the pupil, counteract all the attacks caused by the pupil technique. Not just Tsukuyomi, or illusions like distinguished heavenly gods. Even Itachi's Amaterasu, which can't burn people to death from the beginning to the end, can offset it. Mangekyo, what the soul reflects, it was something he himself dreamed of. I have been looking forward to it since the beginning, and it will come naturally. Jer. Sensing the pupil art of the right eye, Naruto has a complicated look on his face. I see. Is it you? Naruto looked up and looked at the seal on the cage. A strong idea wanted him to seal it. This idea comes from the pupil art of his right eye. Into the soul. It can store and use the strongest will, even the soul, in the form of pupil power. Not illusion, it also cannot be used to bless ninjutsu. But it can be used on 9 tails. There are many restrictions and some tasteless. This pupil technique belongs to him, but it is not his soul reflection. Not yet. Naruto sighed, as if he was muttering to himself, or talking to someone. He looked up at 9 tails in the cage. Now. He may no longer need to sign in to the remaining 30% of permissions. No more. Because there is a soul that has witnessed everything and now only wants to destroy everything. Can't wait to be one with this 9 tails, then vent his anger on Konoha. Leaving the sealed space, Naruto stuffed Mangekyo into the purifier again. For his 2 pupil skills, Naruto is quite satisfied. The basic appeal is met anyway. Purification of the left eye, dedicated to the distinguished heavenly gods. I just don't know if I can resist the ghoul seal. But Naruto certainly won't try, and as for the right eye. Naruto didn't know what to say, no doubt. It was the original consciousness remaining in this body that affected his Mangekyo evolution. But the conscious resentment was too strong. I always feel that is what the original body should look like, but it is obviously different from the anime. Naruto didn't know what was going on either. Could it be? The original body was supposed to be blackened, but Danzo pressed it directly? Then it's no wonder that distinguished heavenly gods are not used until the 5 Cages conference. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Danzo wants to be Hokage like crazy. Even if he can do the assassination of the 3rd generation, it is reasonable to use distinguished heavenly gods once. Also, distinguished heavenly gods are not disposable. Danzo has Hashirama cells, and the cooling should not be used for the 2nd time in this life. But in view of the extremely abnormal hot-blooded state of the original body, it seems that the fact can only be like this. Otherwise there is no way to explain it. Gaara grew up in the Guardian Sands, and even killed like this. Naruto has been beaten and abused since he was a child. With so many negative emotions, the sealed 9 tails can't absorb them. But this pupil technique, it seems that it can be used not only on the original body, right? The pupil technique of the right eye is called entering the soul. What can be done so far is to forcibly instill the strong will of the original body into 9 tails. Don't say anything else. Add to that his 70% control, and then into perfect 9 tails mode, should be fine. In the original body, there was actually only one desire for revenge left. It may not be easy to control, but after all this Chunin assessment, the starting point of the 2 of them is the same. But the remaining strong consciousness, in the 8 trigram space, there are other people. 1 Minato, 1 Ju Shinyi. Before the 2 died, they used chakra to seal their last thoughts, together with 9 tails. They are also the last 2 barriers in the 8 trigram space. Good. Naruto's mouth hooked slightly. Just let the 4th generation couple witness it. He risked his life to save Konoha. In the end, he didn't even have the most basic living guarantee for his own son. If you want to hone your will from an early age, that's fine. But the most basic respect and basic humanitarianism have never been carried out. To put it bluntly, a stray dog has a better life than his son. At least it won't be monitored 24 hours a day. Naruto was stunned for a while, and this written test is finally over. A lot of candidates left, and the rest breathed a sigh of relief. The content of the 10th question test is the examinee's will to become a Chunin. As long as you persist and don't give up, you can pass the level. During Naruto's days, it has passed smoothly. And at this time, I saw 2 kunai suddenly shot in from outside the window, and with a black shadow, they stuck on the ceiling. The black shadow unfolded, and it was actually a curtain. It was written in exaggerated font on the curtain, Second Examiner, Mitarashi Anko. Anko, a female examiner in one-piece fishnet outfit, also appeared. It's too early to be happy, folks. I am the chief examiner of the second examination, Mitarashi Anko. Anko waved his hand, The next exam is waiting for you. Follow me. This way of appearance is obviously a bit exaggerated. The audience was suddenly silent. Orochimaru looked at his disciple silently. After all these years, you still haven't changed, Anko. Immediately, Orochimaru turned to look at Naruto again. It's the third time. This is the third time the child has looked at him today. Looking at it for the first time, the child's eyes were a little excited. Looking at it for the second time, the child's eyes became a little curious. But this time, he is laughing. Orochimaru didn't understand the meaning of the smile. But he knows. This child may have noticed something. I really can't wait. Orochimaru smiled slightly, and when he looked away, he glanced at Sasuke not far away. That's his goal. One of the goals. Using Honkai Konoha as a feint attack, he wants to take the life of the third-generation target himself. It was impossible for Konoha to collapse just like that, so he found enough chess pieces. Sand Shinobi. Audio hidden. One-tail Jin Chiriki. It is enough to create an environment where he can resolve his grievances with the teacher. But it wasn't revenge that Orochimaru was after. What he wants is the blood of that child, and on this basis. It is also excellent to touch Konoha's 9 tails Jinchuriki. All candidates followed Anko and left the examination room. From the core area of Konoha, came to the suburbs of Konoha. And when they walked to an area blocked by iron nets, Anko stopped. In the area, there are big trees one after another. Anko came to a high place, condescending and heroic. Here is the test room for the second test, practice site number 44. Anko paused, and said in a playful and somewhat gloomy tone, alias, Death Forest. At this moment, her eyes looked around the audience. Everyone's expression is very serious. It's always exciting to hear the word death. Orochimaru laughed hoarsely, but his gaze was directed at Naruto. Naruto turned his head and looked over, and found that the big snake had changed another pair of guns. She is still a woman, but now she is a forehead protector with Kusanagi. Since Lee's is called the Forest of Death, so it's okay to kill it? Sak smiled cruelly, and also looked at Naruto. Two murderous auras swept over at the same time. Sasuke frowned, and so did little Sakura. But the current 7th class is the 7th class that has experienced the experience of the land of waves. This murderous aura is still bearable. Just right. I also like watching people die slowly. A lot. Anko swished in front of class 7. Although as the examiner, she must put enough pressure on the candidates. But seeing Konoha's children being bullied, she couldn't just ignore it. This is the consent form for death. Anko took out a stack of documents from his arms, and smashed directly on Naruto's head. Naruto didn't dodge, and didn't launch the second-generation instant kill technique. Everyone, if you agree, please sign the death consent form. After signing, you can kill people here, just as Naruto remembered. The content of the second assessment is the survival challenge of scrambling for scrolls. 3 consent letters can be exchanged for 1 scroll. Candidates work in groups of 3. During the exam, by any means, collect the 3 scrolls of heaven, earth, and human, and reach the tower. Deemed to have passed the examination, Anko also briefly explained the situation of the dead forest. For example, how harsh the environment is and how dangerous the lion majesty beast is inside. But the candidates obviously didn't listen much. After all, compared to the environment, beasts. Competitors who enter together are the most dangerous. This assessment does not prohibit killing. And judging by the look of this examiner, it seems that he is still encouraging killing. It's kind of scary. The 7th shift took over the consent to die. Sasuke signed his daimyo with a swish, and found an entrance to stand. As if he was a team himself. Naruto was the second to sign, and then gave it to little Sakura who hadn't signed yet. I also went to find Sasuke on my own. Little Sakura was the last to sign her name, but judging by her expression, she was indeed a little worried. Anko gave the scroll to little Sakura, which is the scroll of heaven. Don't open it until the exam is over, Anko reminded. Soon, all the examinees finished changing the scrolls, and each found an entrance to stand still. Wait until all 397 are ready. With Anko's order, all the entrances opened almost simultaneously. Set off. Candidates were full of enthusiasm and poured into the examination room one after another. The death consent form has been signed, so what else is there to be afraid of? In this way, the second assessment officially began. The 7th class rushes to the front as Sasuke. I kept my head down and rushed, not knowing if I had a plan or was venting something. Naruto also buried his head and followed up. Sasuke was Orochimaru's target after all. But not far. Ah! With a sharp and panicked cry, Sasuke stopped. He ignored the scream, but looked at Naruto and little Sakura coldly. He didn't say anything, just stared at the two of them, looking back and forth from left to right. What do you want? Naruto asks. He felt like Sasuke was falling ill again. The little Sakura didn't know what to think, and walked behind Naruto with a pale face. It seemed like Sasuke was going to do something. When you meet the enemy later, you two don't make a move. Sasuke said coldly. Unless my fall prevents you from passing the assessment, don't worry about me. That's what it means. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Sure enough, he was ill. This is a plan to make a big killing in the Chunin assessment. Sensing the arrival of that breath, Naruto nodded secretly. Very good. Sasuke's beating for today is about to arrive. The 7th class moved on. Sasuke is still the main force of the vanguard, taking the lead at a very fast speed. But compared to the one behind him, the speed is still slower. But Naruto suddenly sensed that there seemed to be a group of unlucky guys ambushing not far in front of them. And Sasuke? Oh? I really found it. Naruto stopped and looked at Sasuke in surprise. I saw that Sasuke first threw out a few shurikens, and then his hands made seals. Fire-style Great Fireball. As soon as Sasuke made a shot, Naruto knew that the other side must be fine. As we all know, the Great Fireball can't burn people to death. These three unlucky guys are no exception. They dodged each other, although their deeds were still exposed, but obviously nothing happened. Naruto can see clearly that it is Genin of the 3 rock shinobi. Judging by the age, it should not be the first time to participate in the Chunin assessment. It is estimated to be about 16 or 17 years old. Sasuke rushed forward without saying a word, and at some point in his hand he took out a handful of kunai. Leave this guy to me, you go find those two brats. A rock shinobi formed a mudra with both hands, and then slammed down on the ground. Naruto thought he was going to use earth style, but he just wrapped his arms with rocks. In front of the Uchi, BBDJ, Wave Tribe, it is obviously a bit silly to do so. Sasuke made a charge, and when he was almost in front of this person, he suddenly turned away. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Isn't this the way he and Lee beat Sasuke? It can't be considered a trick either, it's simply a habit of people like them who are faster in battle. But Sasuke obviously remembered. One person wants to deal with me, and that's the price you have to pay. Swish kunai slit the rock shinobi's throat. Sasuke didn't show mercy, and directly harvested the life of this enemy. Naruto ignored the two approaching rock shinobi, who hadn't even noticed their companion was dead. His gaze went to Sasuke from afar. I didn't pay much attention to it before. He only cared about admiring that Urzuzi was beaten. But now it seems, Sasuke's changes are indeed much bigger than in the anime. 2 pillars, not 2 fools. If you are beaten, you can indeed become stronger. It's just that now, the aspect of his becoming stronger is in his mentality. It should be easy for Orochimaru to betray Sasuke this time, right? Naruto thought to himself. Naruto. Little Sakura stood behind Naruto. Seeing the 2 rock shinobi getting closer, they couldn't help calling out in a low voice. Trust your Sasuke, little Sakura. Naruto said calmly, he is very strong. The voice just fell. Whizzing, 2 shurikens came out of their hands, cut through the air, and hit the back of the 2 rock shinobi directly. These 2 unlucky guys didn't figure it out until they died. Why is my companion, why is it solved so quickly? 3 kills in one face. The haze in Sasuke's eyes finally dissipated a lot. Instead, there is an inexplicable excitement. Sasuke, who regained his confidence in the three unlucky guys, looked at his hands. Is this the feeling of killing people? No wonder. I can feel it. When harvesting the life of the enemy, the kind of heartiness that comes from the depths of the soul. It feels like chakra has improved a bit because of this. At this time, the little Sakura suddenly fell back and was just so fainted. Naruto silently took a step to the side. I saw a figure, whoosh, and rushed over. Naruto could see clearly. The figure smiled at him as he passed by. Then, head straight for Sasuke, Naruto turned his head and glanced at little Sakura. Then he simply sat down next to little Sakura casually. A good show is about to be staged. Orochimaru, here we come. Orochimaru seems a little more anxious than the original anime. Orochimaru was somewhat surprised that Naruto escaped his sneak attack. But that's okay. His primary target is this, the child with the Sharingan. Oh. Grass-hidden miscellaneous fish. Sasuke also found the enemy the moment Orochimaru appeared, with a cold and mocking arc drawn at the corner of his mouth. He threw out 2 shurikens abruptly, but he didn't shoot at the person's vitals. Instead, it hit Orochimaru's advance on the ground, stopping Orochimaru. Orochimaru also cooperated and stopped. I remember you. Sasuke twisted his neck and said tuggingly. Aren't you the guy who got excited when he heard about death before we started? Sasuke walked slowly towards Orochimaru, playing with the bloody kunai in his hand. Dot has a good memory. The interest in Orochimaru's eyes deepened. Itachi's younger brother, it's not the same as the previous information. But it's more interesting, isn't it? This look, these eyes, tisk tisk. It's no wonder he came here in such a hurry. Where's your companion? Sasuke glanced at Naruto and little Sakura not far away. After seeing little Sakura fell to the ground, a moment of surprise flashed in his eyes. He seems to have suddenly realized something. Think about yourself first, kid. Orochimaru's voice suddenly rang in Sasuke's ear. Sasuke was stunned. Orochimaru has come to Sasuke. Puff Sasuke's reaction was extremely fast. A body replacement technique was used directly. This was originally prepared to deal with an extremely fast guy like Naruto. Sasuke practiced for a long time, although Xiao Li has proved that it is useless for him to practice this trick. But at this moment, Sasuke still used it almost instinctively. Fire style how? The response was quick. Sasuke was halfway through, and suddenly found that the enemy appeared in front of him again. Not good. Sasuke's pupil shrank, and he was about to replace it again, but it was too late. Orochimaru punched him in the stomach, sending Sasuke flying. Boom. Ah. Sasuke bumped into the big tree next to him. The severe pain made him scream out, and the corners of Naruto's eyes twitched. Orochimaru is tougher than him. At least he held back his strength, for fear of sending Sasuke away on the spot. But Orochimaru obviously sold some strength in order to show his strength. Sasuke fell from the tree, but Orochimaru was not in a hurry to attack his prey. Instead, he looked at Naruto. He remembers me, how about you? Orochimaru tilted his head, made the same pose as Sasuke. But the pressure is several grades higher than Sasuke. As a result, Naruto almost didn't overcome his fighting instinct, and rushed straight up. Of course. Naruto shrugged, but one thing to say, the previous face would suit you better. Candidate number 35. Naruto chose not to directly name Orochimaru. This existence. Strictly speaking, it is a dangerous level with Danzo, 3rd generation. Naruto is not afraid, but if you want to cooperate with this guy, you have to reserve a hand. Oh? A strange color flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. *7. He really saw through his disguise. $. There are so many examiners in Konoha, so many ninjas can't see through. It was actually explained by this child. But Orochimaru doesn't think that Naruto knows his true identity. He changed his body and did not actively expose chakra. Even the old man's crystal ball couldn't find him. Orochimaru has this confidence, nourishing. And at this moment, thunder sounded. Sasuke got up at some point, gritted his teeth to overcome the severe pain, and chakra quickly condensed in his hand. You dare to be distracted while fighting with me? Who do you think you are underestimating? Sasuke groaned and rushed towards Orochimaru again. Orochimaru was not in a hurry, but glanced at Naruto first. Aren't you coming together? Naruto shrugged. He's strong. Looking at Naruto's indifferent expression, Orochimaru became more puzzled for a moment. Class 7, according to Do's information. It's Kakashi's student, right? Strangeness. Sasuke was hit hard, but still not too slow. It's just that in front of Orochimaru, it's still not enough to see. Ask for flowers. Orochimaru looked at Sasuke, who rushed over calmly, and pointed to Naruto. Are you sure you don't wait for your companions to come before attacking? Who wants help from that kind of guy? Sasuke's murderous intent became even stronger when he heard Naruto. I don't know whether to run to Orochimaru or Naruto. Orochimaru saw it in his eyes, but the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. This is Kakashi's rakery from that kid. Sasuke's mastery looks average, but although learned rakery from Kakashi, but it seems that there is no bond with other people. Very good. It saves a lot of process. Now Sasuke, just need to experience the power of the spell. 0 It seems that I can figure it out myself. That's it. Orochimaru didn't move. No ninjutsu was used. No gymnastics were used either, not to mention any illusion. He just looked at Sasuke with a smile. Looking at Sasuke, who is attacking rapidly with incomplete rakery. Ultimate's killing intent suddenly bloomed like this. Next second, lightning-style chakra in hand dissipates. The killing intent on his face gradually dissipated. Sasuke's face was pale, his mouth was slightly opened, and even the double-hook jade in his eyes disappeared because of the intense fear. With just one look, Sasuke stopped like that. At this moment, what appeared in his mind was the scene of his chest being split open and blood flying everywhere. At this moment, he seemed to see that man, returning to that night. Sasuke began to tremble all over. Orochimaru, on the other hand, exhaled lightly. It's a bit far from Itachi back then. Orochimaru's figure suddenly disappeared. Almost instantly, he rushed to Sasuke, opened his mouth and bit Sasuke's neck fiercely. The special power that was extracted from the child named Chongo continued to pour into Sasuke's body. After a while, Sasuke just passed out on the ground. Curse seal, Inta. And Naruto stood up. He shook his arms and turned his head. The Orochimaru matter is settled. Now, it's his turn for a long time. Orochimaru looked at Naruto, who was slowly approaching. It's only now, isn't it too late? This is his request. Naruto said, he said that I will not be allowed to shoot until someone kills him. So, you agreed? Orochimaru mentioned Sasuke. Konoha Fang should be able to find the 3 corpses soon. Just take Sasuke away, the risk may be one day. Moreover, he did not intend to forcefully take Sasuke away. Let the child figure it out on his own and take the initiative to seek strength, the effect will be better. And compared to others, he is also very interested in Naruto, who is walking slowly in front of him. Of course, he is my companion, my beloved surrender. At this moment, Naruto had already walked in front of Orochimaru, and the distance between them was less than 2 meters. Even if he asks me to beat him to death, I will agree with August 20th. Orochimaru froze for a moment. Interesting. Ping. Next second. The figures of the two overlapped, and the two kunai just collided together. The eyes of the two also collided. Orochimaru's eyes were full of interest. Naruto was even more excited. Opposite as Orochimaru. One of the Sannin, trying to destroy Konoha's existence. Put aside those who cooperate or not. Right now, Naruto just wants to have a good time. The speed is good, Li Huang and Kan. Orochimaru commented with great interest, you are stronger than Sasuke-kun. The voice just fell. Orochimaru spit out his tongue like a snake, trying to wrap Naruto's neck around him. Thank you for the compliment. Naruto caught Orochimaru's tongue with lightning speed with one hand. Under the slightly surprised eyes of the latter, he yanked it violently. However, for my evaluation, I still suggest that you reserve your opinion first. Candidate number 35. Naruto Kilin's arm exploded with great force, and directly threw Orochimaru out. At the same time, he also took out 2 shurikens that had been with him for so many years, and threw them out with a whoosh. Orochimaru kept rolling in midair, but he quickly stabilized his figure, and seeing 2 shurikens coming at him, he immediately flung out 2 shurikens. It can be next second, when he saw the seal on Naruto's hand. Ninja Shuriken Clone Technique. This is the first time Naruto has used this trick. But at the moment of using it, I heard the prompt of the system and directly upgraded to LV3. This is definitely the fastest ninjutsu that Naruto can upgrade through practice. 2nd generation, 3rd generation, and 4th generation all have this technique. At LV9, I'm afraid it can evolve into a Gatling technique. The shock in Orochimaru's eyes deepened. That old man is willing to use this technique. Interesting. Seeing that the shuriken had submerged his 2 shurikens, Orochimaru didn't dodge, he bit his finger and pressed in midair. Summoning technique. The technique spread out, and a big snake appeared instantly, but in the next second, it was shot into a sieve and smashed to the ground with a howl. Orochimaru landed safely, but there was a bloodstain on his face. Careless. Whether it is teaching in person, or opening permissions. Nine Tails Jinchuriki can learn this technique, it must be the old man's approval. It appears that the information was wrong. The plight of Nine Tails Jinchuriki in Konoha is actually just a superficial phenomenon? Orochimaru dabbed some blood on his face with his hand. It seems that I have to be a little more serious. Orochimaru smiled grimly. But in the next moment, he saw Naruto make a seal quickly, and then flashed in front of him suddenly. So fast. The astonishment in Orochimaru's eyes intensified. Such a body flicker technique, even he may not be able to do it. But what shocked him even more was yet to come. Water-style hard vortex waterblade. Naruto's indifferent voice rang in Orochimaru's ears, and the water in his hand swirled rapidly, hitting Orochimaru like a javelin. Orochimaru dodges hastily, but this technique itself is a short-range technique. Naruto threw it out directly, and at the same time his hands continued to seal. You should be more serious. Orochimaru. Water-style water-severing wave. A slender stream of water spewed out from Naruto's mouth, extremely fast and extremely straight, like a blue ray of light. The second strike came first, and the speed of the water-severing wave was even faster than the hard vortex waterblade, directly hitting the big snake's hand that was about to form a seal. Really get into combat mode. The 4 major Hokage templates work together. Naruto's combat thinking and consciousness are definitely cage level. His every move, every ninjutsu, even every word spit out is related to tactics. Waves of shock followed in Orochimaru's mind. The first is second Hokage's water-style hard vortex waterblade. He has known this technique before, and the difficulty of learning is not generally high. But before he dodges and dodges, he analyzes his next move. Naruto actually called out his name again. Orochimaru's first reaction at the time was to check his disguise. He is not afraid of exposure. He has even been exposed, and Konoha's people are probably already on their way. But what puzzled him was, from the start, Naruto seems to have known who he is. Look 3 times, not a single trial. Is that how he found out? In that split second, Orochimaru thought of that child, that man. The ninja who destroyed the Uchiha clan with his own hands and defeated him with only one illusion. Somehow, compared to that man's younger brother, fighting with the Nine Tails Jinchuriki in front of him gave him a feeling of déjà vu. However, this is the moment of such compulsive thinking. His palm has already been pierced by the water sprayed by Naruto. The hard vortex waterblade came after 5.8 and smashed hard on Orochimaru's chest. Why did he master so many second Hokage techniques? Orochimaru is puzzled. Boom! Orochimaru landed. Naruto did not continue to make up the knife. Let's not say that this thing can't kill at all. In his perception, this guy's aura is far from dying. However, although Naruto did not make up the knife, but the chakra is always mobilized, he's going to work with Orochimaru. He wants Orochimaru to take the blame. Cooperation requires a peer-to-peer relationship. And to take the blame, you need a pair of fists the size of sandbags. Naruto came to Sasuke, took out the kunai, and played with it. Now, he felt that he had firmly grasped Orochimaru's 7 inches. I have to say, you amaze me, Uzumaki Naruto. The arm covered with mucus suddenly stretched out from the body that was blasted into a shapeless body by the hard vortex water blade. Then the shoulders, the head, and finally the whole body. The real Orochimaru, showing what he looks like. Kind of disgusting. But this technique is indeed a very powerful technique. If Danzo knew this technique, it would not take a few Izanagis to clean up the 2 pillars. Rounding. Orochimaru body replacement technique, approximately equal to Izanagi. Naruto silently wrote it down in a small notebook, which may be needed in the future. And when Orochimaru came out, instead, he saw that he was sitting on Sasuke, playing with kunai's Naruto. Oh? Doubt flashed in Orochimaru's eyes. I thought you didn't care about his life or death. Sudden. As soon as the words fell, Naruto inserted himself next to Sasuke's face. It's fine if you don't care. Naruto regained his dead fish eyes, and said calmly. Believe it or not, if this guy turns traitor, I will kill him right away. Naruto's tone was so calm, it seems to be asking, but in fact it is more like an announcement. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes, but before he could say anything, just say you don't believe me. Naruto put one hand to his ear, listening. Come and test my bottom line, quick. Naruto pulled out kunai with his other hand, and put it on Sasuke's neck. The rebel Orochimaru sneaked back to Konoha, tried to kill the descendants of Uchiha, and captured the Sharingan. Start. Nine Tails Jinchuriki tried desperately to stop, and was seriously injured in the end, but also failed to stop Leng Jun Orochimaru, one of the Sannin. I can only see that he cut his companion's throat with kunai and took away his companion's eyes. Naruto looked at Orochimaru blankly. Such a script, do you think it makes sense? This moment, Orochimaru was completely taken aback. Not surprised by Naruto's script, instead, he was surprised by the young man in front of him. I remembered. The familiar feeling during the battle just now. Not a ferret. Not the man who beat him with a single illusion. It feels similar, but very different. This kid's fighting style is less exciting than Itachi's, but more ruthless. Yes. Obvious. He used the technique that existed. Obviously, he also inherited that style. Orochimaru's eyes flashed. The existence of that person, he has never played against it. But he was, and even now, someone whom he admired immensely. Konoha's second Hokage, Tate Tobarama. Orochimaru has studied all the information regarding the purpose of the second generation. In addition to forbidden technique, biography, self-made combat records, ninjutsu habits, etc. We have been friends for a long time. If it wasn't for the fear of that person regaining consciousness, he would be taken down immediately. Orochimaru really wanted to have an in-depth discussion with him about forbidden technique. And now, this child in front of me, leaving aside his Jinchuriki identity first. This quality in battle alone is enough to make him look differently. Very reasonable. Orochimaru smiled slightly. His voice is hoarse and charming, with a thick evil. So, what do I need to do to make you throw away the kunai in your hand? Orochimaru didn't shy away from admitting how much he valued Sasuke. Among smart people, there is no need to play around with these twists and turns. Does the script make sense? Not really. Naruto alone cannot create environmental traces of fighting him. But these are not important anymore. Orochimaru now has reason to doubt the legitimacy of Naruto's ninjutsu. Yes. Based on his understanding of his teacher. The understanding of the one who is at the top of the roots. It is impossible for them to teach the Nine Tails Jinchuriki the second generation purpose technique. The bag's information was not wrong. Mizuki's information on Naruto for the past 6 years has not been wrong. The one who made a mistake was the child in front of him. Orochimaru was already a little curious, this fourth-generation purpose child. This present-day Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. What exactly do geese do? You don't have to do anything. Naruto thrust kunai under Orochimaru's feet with a whoosh. Follow your plan and carry it out. How do you want to destroy Konoha? How do you want to deal with the third-generation project? Just let go and do it. Naruto's face was expressionless and his tone was flat. But every single word hit Orochimaru's chest like a giant hammer. He knows again. How on earth did he know? So, you want to stop me and gain the trust of the higher-ups? Orochimaru couldn't help asking. He didn't even think to hide his plan. He couldn't find a more reasonable explanation. He couldn't figure out what the boy was thinking. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Wipe. This seems like a good idea. Nine-Tails Jinchuriki defeats Ren Orochimaru, saves third generation and saves Konoha? Go F*K it. Third generation is dead, and Konoha is sure to blow up. The Sage of Six Paths can't be stopped, he said. Do I look like the kind of person who only pleases Konoha? Naruto asked with a strange face. Orochimaru froze for a moment. He carefully looked at Naruto in front of him. Picture. Although I have seen a lot of information and photos of this child. But a close look at 670, this kid is really similar to Minato back then. Except for the eyes and expressions, Orochimaru shook his head in agreement. I don't know if you look like me. Anyway, your dad looks a lot like. Of course not. Orochimaru was holding on to the words, sophistication and sophistication. But, then it's over. Naruto shrugged. You have a vengeance against third generation, and I have a debt with Konoha. After it's done, maybe you don't have to leave. Kill all the disobedient ninjas, and get a daimyo stamp, and you can declare yourself as fifth Hokage on the spot. How about it? Naruto said with a look of ease. In fact, his heartbeat has already started to speed up. One thing to say, the plan he just mentioned seems to be really feasible. The daimyo, the nobleman of the country of fire, regards the profession of ninja as an advanced wage earner. Then such words, no matter who the worker boss is, they seem to be the same, right? But Naruto dropped the idea anyway. A little fantasy, a little crazy. But at this moment, he and Orochimaru seemed to have a tacit understanding, and they looked at each other. The same idea appeared in the hearts of the two of them by coincidence. Did it come true? Now, Anko is running fast. Her eyes were cold with the awareness of death. Can't go wrong. Such a cruel method, such an obvious breath. Definitely the guy coming. What is he doing for the Chunin assessment? Anko couldn't figure it out. She couldn't figure it out in a short time. Just like that day, he suddenly changed his temperament. And not long after, he became a level 6 rebel in the village. But it doesn't matter anymore. Anko rushed quickly. She has already made up her mind to die together. Have you considered it? Naruto glanced in the direction behind Orochimaru. Your precious apprentice, but it will come soon. Indeed. Orochimaru also glanced behind him, and at the same time suppressed the surprise in his eyes. He knows again. Even Anko knew that he was his disciple. Orochimaru looked at Naruto again, with curiosity in his eyes. Before we cooperate, can I ask you a question, Naruto-kun? Use honorifics. Orochimaru has already begun to face the blonde kid in front of him. Naruto shrugged. When exactly did you know I was coming? Orochimaru asks. Orochimaru looked at Naruto's stomach. How do you know? Orochimaru was indeed curious. Even Konoha's high-level executives didn't find out about the plan, but Nine-Tails Jinchuriki found out about it. And this Nine-Tails Jinchuriki also looks like they want to cooperate with him. Those who cooperate or not can be put aside first. But he really wanted to know how his plan was exposed. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Orochimaru's question was not limited to just the sentence he asks. You want to know how much I control Nine-Tails? Smart kid. Orochimaru smiled noncommittally. Naruto stood up. Now, it's time to show Orochimaru his true strength. Remember the script I said? Naruto begins mobilizing the Nine Tails chakra. The scarlet chakra coat slowly emerged, and a tail appeared behind him. The rebellious Orochimaru invaded Konoha in an attempt to take the Sharingan. But in the end, you have to be Nine Tails Jinchuriki, you have to flee in a hurry. The voice just fell. Nine Tails chakra, with a bang. Two Tails mode, Sasuke was directly sent flying by the chakra, and hit the big tree again. The violent shock made him scream out again. Really lying down is also beaten. At this moment, he briefly regained consciousness for a moment. Naruto put his hands on the ground and entered the tail beast mode, which is the most comfortable way for him to fight. A strong murderous spirit rushed towards Orochimaru, with a strong wildness. At this moment, Naruto has turned into a beast. This guy. Sasuke passed out again. Naruto, on the other hand, looked at Orochimaru indifferently. Is there any problem? It was obviously wild and full of momentum, but the tone was extremely calm. Orochimaru couldn't hide his astonishment anymore. Two Tails. I see, are you also a perfect Jinchuriki? Doctor. Naruto frowned. Huh. Chakra broke out again, and three tails appeared. Naruto's killing intent was raised to another level. Three Tails mode. Entering the Three Tails mode again, Naruto no longer felt the strong pain and negative emotions when entering it for the first time. He tried to increase the output of Nine Tails chakra. Until the tipping point of Four Tails, there is also Orochimaru in front of him. He was afraid that he would really not be able to hold back his shot. This is his partner, and it cannot be hurt. I see. Orochimaru wisely chose not to ask any further questions. Understand? It turned out to be the same as Cloud Shinobi's Killer Bee. Also perfect Jinchuriki. F. Naruto in front of him is obviously more perfect than Eight Tails Jinchuriki. You know, Eight Tails Jinchuriki is at Naruto's age, but he can barely borrow strength. No wonder there is such a strong perception ability. No wonder he was able to secretly learn so many techniques. Orochimaru didn't know how Naruto did it. To be able to accumulate so much strength under Konoha's nose. But he knew that the child's hatred for Konoha was really strong. Then, I will take my leave first. Sasuke-kun, please take care of me. Orochimaru disappeared with a whoosh. Naruto watched Orochimaru go away. It also removes the Three Tails mode. Orochimaru is on point. He didn't leave in a hurry, but helped lead Anko away. And also left his scroll. Naruto also saved another wave of coma. It would be great if Anko arbitrarily decided to cancel the assessment, leaving aside the title of Chunin as of no use to him. It is impossible for this Chunin assessment to go to the end. Gather Orochimaru's scroll. It is a scroll with the word, ground. Naruto picked up the scrolls of the three unlucky ones from before. Naruto had a strange expression, and it turned out to be a scroll with the word, human. Then this assessment. Naruto glanced at Sasuke, and then at little Sakura. Well. Naruto picked up one with one hand and silently walked towards the tower. Let's pass it. Only after clearing the customs can there be a good show to watch. At this moment, Naruto thought of Shaoli, who was playing Sasuke with nunchucks. Seriously. At this stage, Shaoli is facing Gaara. Little panda, I'm afraid I have to call out the crane in advance, right? Naruto shook his head. The assessment period lasts, does Jiao Hao, 5 days. There is still some time before the third assessment. After that, the fourth assessment will be 1 month later. Jiraiya is coming, and it's big trouble, but until then. Naruto glanced at Sasuke, and then at little Sakura. No one was around. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, Mangekyo was on top of him. That strong will appeared again. Naruto hastily turned off the Mangekyo and exhaled. For the rest of the time, let's turn this angry soul into the embodiment of Nine Tails. Close. By the way, even Kushina and Minato can be released. Prepare in advance. Take them to visit Konoha today. Take a tour of his life today. An original soul may not be able to control 9 tails, but for a family of 3, maybe. Will the new 9 tails be even crazier?